My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Are negative Google reviews hurting your business? Don't let unfair feedback cost you customers. At Webamax, we specialize in removing false, misleading, and damaging reviews so your online reputation stays strong. Our expert team works quickly and legally to clean up your digital presence, helping you rebuild trust. Visit us on the web at www.gowebamax.com. That's GOWEBIMAX.com, or text us for a free quote at 856-840-8343. Don't let bad reviews define you. Get immediate help from Webamax.
Love, exciting and new.
Hello, Hannah Waddingham here. Have you seen the fabulous new Sun Princess? World-class entertainment, exceptional dining, and the greatest pizza ever.
It's a love.
Don't miss our Come Aboard sale with up to 40% off and free room upgrades. Visit princess.com or call your travel advisor to book. Princess Cruises. Terms and restrictions apply. Offer ends 2/28/25. Ships of Bermudan and British Registry.
Lowe's knows how to help you get the most out of your store run. That's why members save more with My Lowe's Rewards. Earn points towards My Lowe's money on eligible purchases. Get access to member-only deals and free member gifts. Plus, unlock free standard shipping when you reach Silver Key status. So what are you waiting for? Join for free today. Lowe's. We help. You save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another shade of blue. We are the KC Soccer Journal. The season has begun. We're 2 games in already. Is anyone ready to change their playoff prediction yet? 2 games in. Last week, we all predicted that this team would at least hit 9th place and make the playoffs. Who's changed their mind?
Robert. Well, at that point, I was, so pumped. You guys are going to be built up about these new additions, and I was feeling positive, and I want to be positive. I want to be that guy. But then reality, I'm like, those center backs, I was questioning. Although Joaquin has been playing well. And I think it's been the holding mid situation that's really, the combination has really just changed my mind. I don't think we have the defense to hold off the stronger clubs in MLS.
But it sounds like you thought they were going to actually be good, and now you don't think they're going to be good. But
you have to remember, our attack's going to be improved.
But you have to remember, you don't have to be good to make the playoffs. You can literally be below average and make the playoffs. 9th place, I still think that they can get that.
That's confidence.
Is it?
What?
I know. I guess I need to see more around Major League Soccer. RSL is a bad team. I know there's one bad. They got spanked by San Jose.
If you get spanked by San Jose, it's not a good start.
It doesn't mean RSL's bad. It could mean San Jose was better. It could have just been a bad day.
Well, San Jose is a lot better than.
Hey,
I'm just saying.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I need to see more around the West to see how bad everyone else is. But that's only 5. We have to be better than 5 teams.
But Cody, last year, do you realize we were out of the 9th place spot by 16 points? Do you realize that? 16 points.
Holy crap. Yeah, if you would have asked me to guess, I would not have said that. I would have said 9.
Yeah. It's only 16. 5 games and a draw.
Hey, it's kind of like where Man City sits right now. Oh, sorry.
Yes, but we're not. We're better than that. The team is better than that.
Yes, you are. That's for sure.
The team is not going to be 16 points out of the red line of the playoffs.
Exactly.
To be fair, last week, after David said 8th place, I was like, I'm going to one up David and say 6th place. That was a joke. I went back on my word. I think I said 8th place again. I'm teetering 9th, somewhere in that playoff.
I'm looking at 9th. So both of you, We did this podcast. Everybody confidently predicted playoffs, and then literally before a game was played, both of you had changed your mind.
Reality set, and
Okay.
it wasn't just hope anymore. It was just, this is what it is.
We got all pumped up on this podcast talking. We convinced ourselves at the end. It's like,
It
yes,
was you,
it's
Cody.
happening.
It was you, man.
It's all the enthusiasm you put out there. But I stuck. I stuck. I think I said 6th or 7th, something like that.
And you're still firmly there? 6th or 7th? That'd be...
Yeah, because I've been around this long enough. One game doesn't mean shit. One road game, giving up. They've only given up 2 goals.
What about two games against MLS competition, though?
They've given up 2 goals. One of the biggest problems was giving up goals, right? They've only given up 2. One was a moment of magic from Messi and Busquets in a frozen game. Now, honestly, if it wasn't frozen, maybe they would have given up more. But then the other one was on the road at Austin, who they've never beat in Austin. I don't think they've gotten any points in Austin.
Man, really?
I think that's correct.
They've never won in Austin.
Wow.
So they've never won in Austin. It's again they've also improved.
And they've been in the league so long, you know?
Yeah, year after year.
It's their 5th season, right?
But
Yeah.
Thad, I get that. But the 2 goals they've allowed, though, have been typical. Oh, yeah, that's a Sporting goal to give up. Haven't they been?
Yeah, I mean, technically, agreed. I messaged
Dude.
several people last night and said that's familiar.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If that Austin goal is a typical goal to give up where the ball just bounces off someone's face accidentally and goes in, then that's a great problem to have. I mean, like,
Yeah.
if that's
But
what it
no,
takes to score in
we'll
this
talk
team,
about that later.
an accident, then okay.
Yeah, there's more to it than just bouncing off the face.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
it's one goal.
The question with the defense is weird. I don't actually have a lot of confidence in the defense. Robert and I were kind of saying the same thing. But you're right. You know, 1 goal in both games. One of them was Messi. One of them was an accident. But I almost want to throw out that first game entirely. I almost want to throw out the Messi game entirely because none of it made any sense. It was too cold.
Yeah.
I think Messi tried for a total of 10 minutes. And the first time he tried was when he scored that goal. He gave like 10 minutes of effort. He knew that's all he needed to do to get the result. They got the result, and now we're in trouble.
Messi only gives 15 minutes of effort in most games. So
Come now.
I mean, honestly, I think it's normally more than that. But yes, that is the magic in his game of this last phase of it is he has this insane ability to know when at the last minute, he just needs to turn it on for 5 seconds. I'm just going to pick my moment, turn it on, and boom, we got what we needed.
Well, that is brilliant. Being able to pick your moment, right? To know, hey, this is an advantage, spot I can take advantage of, right?
And he does it to an extent I've never seen before.
And Sporting should just pack up the shop, go home, because they don't have somebody who can do it exactly like Messi does. Okay? I mean, they should just quit the whole entire sport.
That announcement will come tomorrow.
They should just release and waive all of the rest of the players now. And maybe they can just take up like arena football and find a Kurt Warner or something.
A couple changes to our predictions so far.
I'm sticking with it, man.
Thad's sticking with it. I'm sticking with 9th. I feel okay about 9th place still.
16 points, Cody.
I didn't do introductions, did I?
No.
Does anybody who listens to this need to know who we are?
Well, there's a lot of people, a lot of voices. Not even that long ago, I had someone say that sometimes they don't know who's talking.
Okay.
Should we introduce ourselves? That way they can put the voice.
I'm Cody Bradley.
I am Thad Bell.
Okay. You can't change your voice. Give a radio voice. You can't do that.
I am Thad Bell. No. This is Thad. I mean,
That's the quiet one that you can normally never hear, that I have to turn up while editing every time. Because if he goes too close to the microphone, then he's breathing it in. That's all we can hear.
Cody is never going to let me rest on anything, which is okay.
And Thad doesn't even feel well today. Come on, Cody.
I feel fine.
And
You
that
feel
was
fine.
Robert.
Oh, okay. All right.
That was Robert with the deep booming voice, who, when we first started this, I trained you poorly because you used to, when we first started doing this, you would laugh into the mic. You'd kind of lean forward into the microphone and it would be very loud. And I unfortunately trained that out of you. And now I can't have anyone that laughs. No one on this podcast gives supportive laughs in the background because everyone leans. That's what I want right there. That the mic caught that. I want people laughing, having fun in the background. Carrie's literally over there covering her mouth, not laughing right now.
I'm usually laughing during this pod.
I know. She covers her mouth, leans away.
But
People
Carrie,
wanna
what are
hear-
you laughing about? Are you laughing at us or what's going on?
It's a mixture of both.
It
Okay,
seems like
all
she's
right.
laughing at me a lot of the time. At me, specifically.
To be fair, Thad does do a lot of shots at you.
Yeah.
So,
And I get some back.
it's true.
Hey,
I take shots at myself too, don't I?
It's true. That's why I'm always laughing. It's just Thad.
Cody's giving me a look like, no, you don't, dumbass.
I need that. I need the background laugh from Carrie. She's a laugher. She giggles. I just need the mic to pick it up every now and then. People
hey,
want to
I-
hear us having fun.
Of
I'm
course-
not. I'm
of
not
course
just
they
in this
do.
room talking to blank faces. I promise you, I'm getting nods and support when I'm looking at them. They just forget we're doing a radio show and don't actually put it in there.
Well, I will speak for David. I will remind everybody that David Greenwald is not here. But the other day, I was listening to this commercial, and I swore it was David's voice. Because he's got a radio voice, too. I was like, is that David? I wish you were here.
Hey, no, Cody, wait a second. You and I just did the exact same thing that would have been perfect on the camera, but we looked at each other like, what?
I'm now trying to remember David's voice. Does David have a radio voice, Carrie?
I think he does.
I think so. He's always like, but here's the thing. David, if you saw that my hand motion with that,
Yeah.
it was perfect.
Yeah.
She's in your
That
seat,
was-
David.
Yeah,
that
she
was
is in your
actually-
seat,
Yeah.
David.
Yeah, that was a good impression.
I just hope we stay far away from Cody's radio voice that he uses sometimes.
All right,
The old-fashioned radio reporter.
Jack Corkamp, Daily News. I got a couple questions for you, see? And you're going to answer them, too.
That is perfect.
it's like
You should use that voice if you like interview him.
Yeah, we need Jack Corkamp to have a good year. We need to get him some appearances.
All of our trust is in the 16-year-old, just for the voice.
Yeah.
Carrie never actually officially introduced herself. She kind of
That's
introduced
true.
herself as David almost.
Yeah, it is
Hi.
hard to understand which one of the voices is Carrie. I could see why someone would confuse that.
I am Carrie, not David today. Bro, my voice went raspy there.
Yeah, that should be a fine. You got to clear your throat. Just not into the mic.
Carrie.
Carrie's
Well-
wearing a jersey today, Cody. I think you ought to ask her about it.
Yeah, what is this jersey?
It says calorie.
That was well pronounced, too.
Thank you.
Cagliari is how I always say that in my head.
Well, you see, we said that first, and then so I officially got this jersey when our exchange student came to live with us. So she brought it with us because she knew I was a big soccer person, and I mispronounced it, and she set us down and was like, "This is how you pronounce it."
Set you down. Okay.
Yeah,
Set
Didn't
these
slap you.
Americans
That's
straight.
good.
Family
Shut you down.
meeting.
yeah, family meeting.
So that's your squad now? in
Well,
Italy?
I pull it out whenever USA players are playing there today. So Juventus is playing there today. So Weston McKinney
All
and
right.
Timoya.
Love those two together. That's fun. I love watching Juve these days. Okay, please go subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts.
We will talk about soccer occasionally.
We are going to talk a little bit about soccer. If you would take some time to go leave us a review, we would very much appreciate it. I love the interaction. The reviews help a lot. So, let's talk about the Miami game.
It was cold. That's very in-depth analysis.
I know. I don't even know that I want to let just broadly go about the Miami game just because, like I said, it was just a trashy game. There's not a lot we could get from that.
I mean, I think there's a few things we can talk about from the game. Daniel Salloi, Bartlett, I thought played well for 70 minutes, had a couple of bad passes towards the end, but otherwise, very good debut.
I liked Bartlett. Had a couple moments. He got to shove over Suarez and then pump up the crowd after.
Yeah.
There were a couple good moments, but I
Step-
did see there were some bad passes.
Yeah.
At least two moments that I was like, oh, yeah, that's a young guy, a little
Yeah.
over his head at the moment. But
Yeah, he stepped on Messi once, but other than that, he had a very good game.
so did Volader. Volader hammered him.
Just one observation on Bartlett. I haven't looked at the stats or anything, but it just seemed to me that he went backwards a lot, which I understand. You're your first game. You're young. You're going to play safe. I get that.
Actually, I mean, I kind of again, I'll go look at the stats too. I haven't looked that close. I felt he was going progressively forward better than Nemanja.
Well, that may be.
Okay.
Now that's maybe not saying much, but that's them trying to control the game.
Right.
So I think that's something he's going to continue to grow into. So I mean, I'm pretty high on Bartlett. His second game wasn't quite as good, but
Yeah.
that's like to be expected from a 19-year-old playing his first two professional games.
I just didn't see where any success was going to come from with that midfield out there. It was a little better in the second half when Manu came on. But Thad, I think you said imagine like this would be the lineup if they didn't get those guys in at the end. In that midfield of Bartlett, Memo, and who else was out there for that first half? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was not pretty. Also, why does doesn't it feel like Memo is 37 years old? Am I the only one that thinks that?
No, I also think that. I was surprised to learn that like he was like 29,
He's
28.
29 years old. Why, he's been in the league for 20 years.
He's on the good side of 30.
Yeah.
He does not look like it.
Memo Rodriguez has been playing in Major League Soccer since he was 9 years old. That's the only possible explanation for this.
Time travel.
So, yeah, second half was better. We got our first view of Manu.
Yep.
Couple good touches from him.
But not with Dejan, which was a little disappointing. But.
Yeah.
So I've seen lots of people complain about the midfield during the Miami game and even in the Austin game. That is not the midfield that's going to be playing in 2 weeks.
Thankfully.
Okay? Can't be. First of all, it was essentially two defensive midfielders and an 8 out there.
Yeah.
And the 8 wasn't even playing as the 10. I mean, he was still playing as the 8. So Nemanja was kind of the 10 at times. It was a very defensive midfield, but I think it was also by necessity a little bit because of who was healthy, who's been around, who's been in camp long enough, all that stuff. I'm not trying to make excuses. It's just that's the reality. 2 weeks from now, if that's the midfield that Peter is rolling out, I think you have a lot of complaints. If it's a month from now, I think then you're going to like, what the hell's going on, right? It can't be. That's not the midfield. You got to have Manu in there. Hopefully, Jake gets to move forward and be maybe the 8 on a more consistent basis, that sort of thing.
Yes, they just brought in, his name is escaping me.
Andrew Brody,
which should, Thad, maybe free up Jake to get in the midfield more.
Him or Kyrie he had a hamstring, and so he's a potential for coming back out there too. The only reason, again, a lot of people are like, why are they trying him at center back? They're trying him at center back because they didn't have Rosero or Fernandez healthy in preseason. They were being very cautious with them. So they were playing people. They were just having to put bodies in certain spots. As people get healthy, as these guys get into camp and learn the team better, those people starting will be very different people.
Carrie, what do you think of the feels like -6 Miami game?
Temperature-wise, I'm thankful that I've had multiple Super Bowl parades to get used to that cold because I knew how to prepare.
True.
If I didn't have that, then I'd be freezing. But it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised with the Volodare with that game. I mean, maybe it's just something about Messi not liking Germans still, like being afraid of them, like flashbacks to 2014.
Germans just don't like Messi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he's like afraid of them, so then he just like backs off. But I think he had a really good game. Like I was really scared of him starting.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, I get nervous with Volodare too.
Yeah.
I think he's very much one that has a good game and then has a mediocre game. Like he kind of, or even in the one game, he can be very good for 80 minutes and then.
Or multiple games, because then he's like, then you're like, there's no way that like Peter like is gonna pick him again and again, and then he does, and then he has a good game, and then later on down the line, you're thinking that again.
Maybe he's a U22 that's growing into the center back role.
Oh yeah, he's a slow burn. Who do we have behind him on the depth chart? You would say, Thad?
Ian James, Jansen Miller.
2 guys are young and raw.
Yeah, I mean, Jansen just came out of college and was looking really good in preseason.
Yeah.
Really good being relative, of course. Ian James, has probably a very good future ahead of him.
Also 16.
Yep.
Were you in the Cauldron?
I was.
Had a nice view of that Messi goal then, huh?
Unfortunately. He had a nice view of me afterwards, too.
What were you doing that he would have noticed you?
She had 2 fingers
you don't have
up,
to
everyone.
censor
You
yourself.
can use your imagination.
There are literally no cameras here. She very sneakily flipped 2 birds. Like, no one can see us.
I don't think that was
right
sneaky.
My beer did turn to a slushy pretty fast, though.
Yeah.
So, good time.
That game was the most wussy I've been at a soccer game.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because he wasn't there.
I was there, but I chickened out of shooting the game. Mostly because I didn't want my equipment to die. Because I don't want to have to try to afford to replace it.
Yeah.
But I was talking to a couple of photographers I know afterwards, and they were very much lamenting having stayed for the whole game And so after 2 pressers, after we had to wait for a presser, then the next presser, and then mix zone, and I went to the photo work room to see who I knew was there. I was talking to one guy, and he like pulled his lens out of the pouch he had it in, handed it to me, and I'm like, holy shit, that's cold. It was still that cold after like an hour after the game because it was just frozen.
But none of their stuff broke?
Don't know yet. It was not functioning at the end of it, from what I was told, at least one of the people.
So how was the press box?
There was people outside.
Yeah.
And then there was people moved in. Like, I think Chad moved in. There was an opening. I was actually up on the row with the team,
Nice.
with the team officials. So I was like sitting next to
Look at you.
Kurt Austin. They were nice. They made a space for the fat old guy. They didn't want it dying on the sideline. I'm very appreciative of that.
I am a little concerned that Miami Socials is going to have me on it soon because they took a video of me holding up a sign that I made, just cardboard so I could step on it later, stand on it later. And it said, 0 degrees, 0 chance for Miami. And they stayed on me for a long time.
I definitely did see that sign. I didn't see you underneath it.
No, so I went to go get hand warmers because they were giving them out. But my friend, or my partner, took the picture with it. And then he was getting trashed by Miami Socials. But, like, I think I'm going to get in a video of, like, them just, like, with me on it.
I hope so. I hope you're like on the next, like, documentary or something.
I was just about to ask that. Do we know if they're filming a season 2 of Onside?
I hope so.
I do not know.
I want to talk about Onside a little bit later. I haven't watched it yet, but we'll talk about that. First segment, I feel like we have to talk about this because it's the hot topic. Daniel Salloi. Everyone is upset with Daniel Salloi.
Why?
They think he's not good?
Or they've just picked on the next person to pick on.
Right, because he's one of the holdovers.
He's definitely the focus of a lot of the frustration right now.
Yeah.
Any post on Sporting KC's social is Daniel is getting all the hate, whether he was involved in it or not.
Kyrie wasn't out there, so they couldn't hate on him. Polito's gone, so they couldn't hate on him.
And no one wants to say anything bad about Willie Agata. God forbid we say something bad about Willie.
Wait. William,
They know Cody Bradley has that covered.
William, upon first reference, Agata.
We'll get there. One game at a time.
Yeah, a couple more misses like that, and you guys won't be able to back him up anymore.
Hey, that's segment 2. We're on segment 1.
Well, Cody, what you and I were talking about earlier, obviously Daniel had a great season. What was it, 2019, 2018? Whatever year it was.
Yeah, one of those.
But I think we're all looking at that and saying, that's the Daniel we want. That's the Daniel we need
We're
to get
hoping
this
for
team
that.
over the hump, because he can be an important part if he is that guy. But the fact is, in my opinion, and Cody's opinion, apparently, that was his ceiling, and he's not going to be that guy again because he hasn't been for a long time. He's been a good player, good MLS player, winger, 7 goals average, etc. Last year, not so much, but he's never going to be that guy again, in my opinion.
I don't want to say it into a microphone right now and just sound like everyone else online that with the vitriol around him at the moment. Because it's not like he was so bad that we simply must get this man, this mustache off my field right now. Like it's nothing like that. But yes, Robert, I was watching these 2 games, and I kind of had the realization that this is it. This is what Daniel Salloi, the player, has settled into. And he's not particularly fast. He can miss a chance every now and then. He can disappear for spells. And I feel like that's where we landed. And this season, if we are going to have fun this season, we're going to need something out of his position. I'm not sure we're going to get it. I'm a little afraid to say it into a microphone, but just you guys right here, just friends in the safe place, I am a little worried about Daniel Salloi.
That's fair. I mean, you can be worried, and nobody could just stop you from feeling what you feel, no matter how small or big it is.
Okay, thank you.
But
safe place.
Because I don't want to diminish what people, want to think. But Salloi, again, this team right now is very much not what it's going to be in a month or 2. And if it is, then yeah, you have every room to complain and start demanding change and whatever. But if it's different in a month or 2, say, hey, maybe I was wrong. This is not close to what this team should be. DJ9 has to be better, but he's still not fully integrated into the team. This midfield wasn't anywhere close to what it should be. The the defense wasn't where it should be. There's so much that will come into play. In neither one of these games that were they going to have possession. Salloi's a much better guy who can play a little more technical. He's not going to outrun a ton of people, but he also wasn't making terrible runs most of the time.
Right. So you're not worried? You think he's going to have a bit of a rebound year? Because last year, I think we all acknowledged, wasn't what we needed out of him. Is he going to surpass last season?
I'm pretty much always in the mode of no one person is like the only person who makes themselves successful, right? The rest of the team has to be there. When everybody's bad, everybody's bad. You know what I mean? So like no one person is just going to like, hey, I'm going to still be a stud when everybody else is sucking, because it just doesn't work that way in this sport. When the rest of the team starts playing better, everybody starts playing better. And now you can see if the people are actually terrible or not.
Well, I think you're right, Thad, in that he's the next guy that people can pick on.
Right.
And I also think it has a lot to do with the performance in the Miami game. There were a lot of giveaways on his part. He tried to do a little too much at times. But as we transition into last night's game, there are other things to be said, too, that we can cover for Salloi. Some of them good and, some not so good, but we'll get there.
Just got to go with the motion of this team.
Thank you for letting me vent in this safe place. And Thad, you said maybe I have to admit that I was wrong later, but I didn't actually say it on the podcast. I said it in the safe place, so I won't have to say I was wrong.
Was the mic on?
Okay, any final thoughts from Miami?
Can we connect it to the coming Miami game, or is that later, Mr. Cody Bradley?
Yeah, Tuesday. Another one coming up on Tuesday. What did you see from this one that you're expecting to see in the next one?
Well, here's my thought that I wanted to go to. Messi played all 90 last night. Busquets, I think, played the vast majority, if not the whole 90. Alba was in the lineup. He wasn't in Kansas City. But it's just interesting the approach that Miami is taking, playing their stars, in both games, almost the whole 90 minutes. And the approach that we're taking, which is understandable. I get it. But it's just interesting to see that dynamic.
Messi had an assist in stoppage time, right? So, yeah, he's gone 180 plus this past week.
It was 90 plus 10 last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a little revenge on the guy doing a Ronaldo celebration at him.
Oh, really? I didn't see that one.
Well, that's what I read. I have not found the clip yet, and I didn't have a chance to go, watch the end of the game.
Did you see Ronaldo's tantrum that he threw?
Something new?
You mean his latest one?
Someone on his team got a red card, and while about to do a restart after a goal, he just kicked it into the stands, just booted the ball into the stands. He's such a little baby.
Nice.
Yeah, he's not one of my favorite. Not one of my favorite at all. Going back to the Miami game here, how many people were predicting that Messi, A, would not play or at most would play a half?
A lot.
I know, right?
Everybody's like, he's not going to play. Oh, they just, they're just whatever, moving the game, making it easier for Messi, whatever. Messi played. Messi played the majority of the game. Or did he? He didn't sub out, right?
He heard that question his whole career. Can he do it on a cold Tuesday? And he heard all the jokes this week. And then he went out there. His team won. He played the entire game, and he scored the winning goal.
Yeah. And
GOAT. David, wherever you're listening, somewhere, GOAT.
Yeah. Right now, when he'll be listening to this, driving in the car to work, and he'll slam on the brakes.
He's really
Damn
mad.
you, Cody.
He's really mad right now that he has to listen to me keep talking about it. Messi is the GOAT.
And he pointed right at Kerry after he scored, too.
And she flipped him.
Kerry was pointing back with two very specific fingers.
Not at him.
All right, so do we have a shot, Kerry, on Tuesday to come back from this 1-0 deficit?
I asked some friends, and I was like, just lie to me. Tell me that SKC has a chance. They said they have a chance. So I don't know if that's a lie or if they're being truthful.
I don't know. So you watched the game last night?
Yeah.
Did you see New York's set piece where they scored?
It was nice.
I mean, they didn't do anything. It was a guy standing wide open, passed it right to him in the box. He took a touch, and then he scored without anyone stopping him. I saw that goal go in, and I'm like, you know what? There are holes here. It's not entirely over. If they're giving up goals like that, Sporting are capable of doing that.
They are capable, but will they?
But will Miami
probably,
get a red card, too?
Probably not, but seriously, Miami have moments where it's just like, what the heck are they doing?
Their downfall last year was defense also. They just had so much offense to overcome that most
Right.
of the season until the playoffs.
Yeah. Sounds like we're all less confident, though, about that one.
They probably won't win. But is it possible? Yes. I wouldn't put it past them to maybe get a win.
It was fun.
If we can score, then maybe we win.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does take that. Yeah, you're right, Carrie. Good point.
That is
Analysis.
that is extremely insightful.
We didn't deserve
Ball
to be.
knower.
We didn't deserve to be in this tournament anyway. It's like ball never lies. If we lose the first round, it's like, well, yeah, okay.
I'm still mad that we're not in the Open Cup, but shame on you.
Yeah,
nonetheless.
that sucks.
Neither finalist last year is in the Open Cup. Should have seen Vermeese's face when I what are they thinking? Not having either finalist from the Open Cup being the this year's version.
Yeah. I know we haven't talked about Manu or Dejan yet, so we're going to talk about that in the next segment. We'll be right back. All right. Don't have a whole lot of time to dwell on these two losses with this the next game Tuesday coming up here. But Robert, give me your top 3 performers on Sporting KC from this first MLS game of the season.
Well, considering what I said earlier about my playoff prediction and why, this may come as a bit of a surprise. But I'm going to go with, first of all, Logan Ndenbe. He's such a Leibold's a nice player. He's fine. But Logan just has those extra things to his game. He's stronger on the attack. He's solid defensively. Just when he's out there, something could happen, harkening back to the playoffs against St. Louis back when.
He has that there was that combination that Joveljic couldn't quite finish in this one. There was a good 1, 2, 3 one-touch passing in the box, and that Ndenbe was involved. And Leibold, I don't think, has that quick feet, quick thinking the final third.
Leibold's that kind of standard
the
German
way in
left
Ndenbe
back.
Right.
And then second one I'd go for Joaquin Fernandez. The guy seems solid. He positions himself well. He makes good decisions on the ball. So, certainly a advancement from his own goal experience of last year.
Okay.
So
Guy says that defense isn't very good. And
exactly.
Then he picks
I told you might be surprised.
2 defenders.
And then, of course, Manu. He does things that other players can't do. And we were driving the ball forward in that second half, whereas the first half, not so much. So definitely makes a difference out there. And 2 of our best chances came, with him on the field and Salloi involved. That's something I wanted to allude to earlier. I wouldn't put Salloi in my top 3, but he was involved in 2 of our best chances last night. So
he can do things that others can't on this team. I could not agree more with that. There was one moment soon after he came on in the second half. What he did wasn't especially amazing. It was just he got the ball and he turned, and then we got the ball into their half.
Which we didn't all first half.
Right, exactly. That was exactly it. He didn't do. It's not like, holy crap, Manu is amazing. He just had this one thing that in the first half we lost the ball right there.
Yeah. I was at no other pub last night, and you would think that we scored a goal with some of the cheers that were happening once Manu was doing some of his skills.
Yeah, dude makes very good turns. He's calm under pressure in tight spaces. I'm trying to not, look too much into it, but we were talking about how we have a lot riding on this guy. Like, we've needed these center attacking mid for a long time, and if he was going to get here and just be a disaster, then I think Sporting Kansas City this season was going to be a disaster. I've seen enough that he's not horrible, right? We've seen enough quality that it told me Sporting Kansas City are not going to actually suck this year. They might not be great. They might be below average, 9th place, but they're not going to actively suck if he's out there.
And
is that enough? That you're kind of questioning it here. Am I looking too much into these first 2 games? Am I overly excited?
I don't think you're looking too much into it. This is all we have right now. Right?
All I'm saying is Manu doesn't suck. I feel like I have a good grasp on this, and that I'm not looking too much into these 2 games.
You're not putting too much expectations on Manu right now?
Right. He can lead us to 9th place, baby.
And that would be...
That's my hot take.
An accomplishment.
That's the hot take that I have, is that he's good enough to get us 9th.
Sadly, I'm not going to necessarily agree with everything you just said there, but sadly, getting us to 9th place is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's not okay. It's not like being okay with mediocrity or any of the shit that some people say that everybody around here is okay with. But I'm also realistic. You got to sometimes take steps, right? You don't go from almost last to first over one season, typically. So making steps is good. Manu is going to help with that if he stays healthy. and everybody around him gets in the right page, right frame of mind.
And yeah, Robert, it did look like they saw in that first game, we need to see those two out there together. And then the lineup kind of worked like that in the Austin game for them to come on in the second half.
Well, I expect to see that from the start Tuesday night.
I'm hoping so,
Yeah,
right?
for
I
sure.
meant to ask you guys that. At this point, all right, 2 games in, what are we warming up for at this point? Put them out there, right? Get them on the field.
Well, let's talk about Joveljic. Sorry about that. Joveljic a little bit. So he had that opportunity with the interchange between, him and Ndenbe, et cetera, and Salloi's involved in that. And he almost got through and got a shot off, got blocked right before, or right as he hit it. But Carey made a comment in the discussion last night. Just think, you're Joveljic.
Carey was talking shit.
Play with Marco Royce and, Ricky Puig and now.
And now you're a
So what's
supporter.
that about,
Now you're a
Carey?
wizard.
What's this about?
It's just going from such stardom to
Marco Royce to Shoppy. Is that the joke here?
sure.
Because I don't want to.
I don't know if I'd pick Shoppy.
Yeah, because then you're doing it to Daniel Salloi, and
That's
it's like,
true.
oh, how laughable.
I don't know if I can. I
Salloi.
can't do that one.
Yeah.
So maybe it has to be Shoppy without knowing anything about him.
Why not Tommy? He's German.
What do you think of Tommy so far?
He's been Tommy. I mean, he's been exactly what Tommy's always been. He hustles, he does some really good stuff, and then sometimes tries to overdo things. Dribble through somebody or make a pass that's not as well advised as I would have hoped for in that very moment, and then does some really good things.
Yeah.
And that's the question, though, isn't it? Where does Tommy belong on this team? I mean, he belongs on the field somewhere, right? But
Right back.
But it's at wing, and only because we just don't have another winger, right?
well, we got Shoppy, we got Salloi, so it's got to be competition either way there.
and a
Does he
free
play in the midfield, or is that Davis, Garcia, and Radia? I don't know, or who. So don't know where Tommy's best going to fit.
I like Tommy as a winger better, personally. I mean, I think he thinks of himself as a midfielder who can play winger. I think of him as better as a winger, personally.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Because I think it gives him a better spot to be in, to dribble, to take shots. He's not going to be required to create as much. I just think that it fits him a little bit better, and it lets you have Manu and say Jake and Nemanja or Bartlett or whoever at the 6 as the midfield. So it gives you a spot to have your best players at the moment on the field. Now you can argue about whether Salloi or Shoppy is the other one. I think we'll see.
Yeah, Tommy's fine. If he is like the long-term answer of when the rebuild is done, if he is our winger, I have questions about that.
Tommy,
you know what I mean?
Tommy's gonna be our next Johnny Russell or that player that's gonna be here forever, and we're gonna watch him grow old. Sadly.
Okay, well, that's fine. I like that. But I don't know that I want him to be my right winger, Would like someone a little more lethal. And there's someone that isn't a question of is he a winger or is he a midfielder? I would like a guy. That guy's a winger. He scores goals. He's lethal. That's who I want on my front line.
We don't have any of those.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, Shoppy didn't score a ton of goals in the last couple of years either. I mean, he had a couple good years at Krasnodar or whatever it was in Russia. It was a good league before they became. Anyway,
It's not a good league. What are you doing there? What was that?
they were good teams in that league. They played in Champions League. They did a lot of stuff. That's also not now. That was then.
I can guarantee you that all the Salloi naysayers who want the new and everything think new is better want Shoppy on the right and Tommy on the left.
I want to see that for at least a game or two. See how it goes.
It'd be fun.
While we're talking about wingers, we should mention the Vargas situation.
Certainly.
He was just let go very quickly.
So that was on Friday night, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the other announcement that was done Saturday night? Was that Joveljic or was that Polito's exit? Because Sporting, has been doing some weird things when it comes to that. Friday night and a Saturday night. Who was the Saturday night?
Well, Joveljic was That one was a rumor. Politos came out of nowhere. So we
Right.
at least
Was that
had
released on a Saturday
we at least
night,
had
though?
a few days of
Yeah.
Joveljic. We were like, oh, this is happening. Like we're
Okay,
just waiting
yeah,
for
yeah.
the announcement.
Yeah, there's a little hint of Polito, but
There
it was
was.
not much.
And no one could ever really tell if those rumors were true or not.
Yeah.
But it is the timing of that released on a Friday night, the night they traveled to Austin, I would assume. You start thinking, okay, what exactly happened here?
Yeah, I wish I knew. I mean, you looked at me like I would know something. I've asked other people who might know and just not be willing to go on record, and nobody knows. It was asked at the presser last night after the game.
Here's the quote from Vermees on it. Just a decision from our perspective. That's it. He's moving on to different things. He needs to go find a different solution for his career.
The solution part is the weird part.
It's
in that quote.
The answer is exactly weird enough that tells me like it wasn't amicable necessarily. There's some frustration there, and keep it moving, Buster.
Yeah.
That's what I got from that.
Yeah, me too. I don't think it was all hunky dory because honestly, if they were planning on doing this, the roster came out that morning.
Right.
The composition, the roster composition with however many internationals and this or that. So to me, there was only two possibilities. One, they fell into an international that they wanted to sign pretty quickly, or he did something that pissed off the team enough that they said, you're not rehabilitatable.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're gone.
And then Peter's response would tell me it's likely the latter there rather than
was he not on the travel roster and said something? This is throwing out possible ideas. This is no knowledge or trying to speculate exactly what happened. Just like there's something that could have just been in that realm, like, hey, I'm not getting playing time. But honestly, he hasn't been good either. He has speed, and I've seen people like, oh, he has a way better touch than certain winger. No, he didn't. He has speed. His only skill was to knock ball forward and run faster than somebody else. Now, that's a skill that you can't teach, but he hasn't progressed skill-wise.
Well, in our current environment, thinking that the newest thing might be better than what's currently here, let's keep in mind that somebody, I don't remember who it was, anointed Vargas as maybe a, best 11 player one day in his career, and he still may be. But obviously that hasn't developed that way.
Who are you calling out? Was it me?
No, it wasn't you. It was somebody in our group. I don't know who.
But yeah, no, I don't. I've always pointed back to he didn't have a good first touch. His goals when he was with MLS Next Pro was he ran fast at goal, hit ball, it went in, and he also screwed up a lot of those runs by not going the right run and stuff. Some of that's teachable if you work at it, and he's a guy who didn't start really playing organized ball until he was like 16 or so. So he thought he was, and I'm not trying to like downplay like his skills. I would still like to have him on the team as an option. I think Sporting didn't always use him when they could have, but like they could have put him up there as the center forward when they know they were going to be, pressed into their own end a lot, and he could have just ran onto balls. But when the few times he had to do that, he didn't press well. So maybe he just thought he could do more than he can. So let him go play elsewhere.
Well, Afrifa, who we have not mentioned in this, winger discussion, didn't mention it at all, has made progress on the other hand,
yes,
comparatively. So,
and he's a guy who, in theory, probably wouldn't have had as high upside because he had already went to college. You know what I mean? Where Vargas was still younger and had the pure natural speed, I would have not necessarily thought Afrifa would have the most potential gained after that. But he has grown. He's not been perfect, but nobody is.
I want to talk about the other guy on the front line, Dejan Joveljic. Robert, 2 appearances in, new $4 million signing. What do you think?
Well, you could see in the play last night with, we've been talking about with the Ndenbe and Salloi interchange that he can play in tight spaces and he can make space for himself if he has to. I think, as Kerry alluded to, he's a little frustrated. He's not getting the service he doesn't have the speed on the wings he had in LA that could open up space for him. So he's in that adjustment period, and it's just a matter of patience and finding where the gaps are here with this team. And it hasn't been ideal in the cold weather against Inter Miami, and it's not going to be ideal Tuesday night against Miami either, because Miami's going to have the ball, and he's going to be frustrated waiting for the ball unless Manu can pull off some, magic. So it's a patient game for him right now.
I don't think I've seen him be visibly frustrated that this team he's on isn't as good as the last one.
I'm not saying I've seen it. I'm just saying that's
He probably
part
is.
of the process.
Okay, well, if
To an
he is,
extent.
then finish that amazing sequence that ended with you in the box at the ball at your feet and didn't result in a goal.
He only had like 3 guys on him.
And
It wasn't a pass into the goal like another one.
One touch it like everybody else. He didn't even get a shot off.
Can't believe we haven't talked about that yet.
Right.
so you remember when we signed Dejan and I brought in the stats for him and Polito and Agata, and they were remarkably similar over a 2-year span. Last year, Joveljic was very good, but the year before that, he was okay because they weren't a very good team, right? So they were in a rebuild. He supposedly has said he understands that we're in a rebuild and wants to be part of making that rebuild, but it took the Galaxy a while to do that. But if you look at Polito and Agata over those same 2 years and him over those 2 years, the numbers were very similar, and they were very they needed high opportunities. They needed a lot of opportunities.
Okay, well, since that had to say Polito.
Yeah, he scored yesterday. That's 2 goals in 3 games. I just like to say I did not go searching for this. PJ Green sent it to me. And so if I had to get that text, everyone else had to get that text.
Yeah,
But
I'm still watching.
I
see how
could
he
do
does.
without that information.
But, look at Joveljic.
Blame PJ.
Let's go back to Joveljic. Look at that. Who did the Galaxy sign last year at the beginning of the season? Paintsil and Gabriel Peck. And then, go against the budget rules to do so probably because now they're doing their fire sale.
Oh, my God. They're
and
so
Sporting
screwed.
signed, who they signed, which I'm sure will end up being some good players. But, yeah, that's a bit of a difference.
I'm sorry. Didn't the Galaxy just trade 125,000 in allocation money
from next year?
One of them for next year to get 100,000 of
Yes,
it
yeah.
this year. And that's not the only strange move. They traded for a guy and then waived him.
Yeah, a high-priced player. They traded a high-priced player for a high-priced player and then let their guy go.
You gotta love the Galaxy right now. You gotta love MLS.
Well, I know, and
Fire sale,
It's-
payday loans.
it's a really interesting thing. Parity. That we've been talking about. The league is so proud of the parity. You can be bad one year, good the next year.
Yeah.
But it also kind of punishes a team that does everything right. You do everything right. You build this super team. You're a great team. You have all these good players. And then the next year, you have to entirely dismantle it.
Well, that's not necessarily
Not
doing everything
entirely
right.
dismantled.
That's borrowing money you don't have, and because they obviously didn't have that money.
Okay.
So, I mean, yes, they got a trophy. So you could say they did everything right. Because if you talk to a lot of fans, they would say, hey, give me a trophy this year, suck for a year or two, give me a trophy the next year. They would take it.
Yeah.
But that next year, they would also say, why can't you just repeat it? So there's never a winning in that situation.
Before we move on from Dejan, can we?
Which we're not even talking about.
Yeah. Can we talk about that almost second yellow card? Because
Yeah.
I feel, one, why risk a potential second yellow for something so dumb? But at the same time, it is a very sporting move. It's like a welcome to the team. I'm not going to say you're dumb now, but
You're referring to when he
Caught the
ball in the, not out of bounds.
Well, let's be accurate. He almost caught the ball.
Right, he did not
It's
catch it.
much more like a Chiefs receiver in the Super Bowl.
What was he doing? Can someone explain it to me? What was he doing?
Trying to save time for a comeback. If I keep the ball in bounds, the clock doesn't run off so much.
Well, no, I would say more so. Okay, I think you're on the right track. He maybe thought he was out of bounds,
right,
and was trying to prevent the ball from going too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was going to try to prevent them from wasting time. So he was going to catch the ball and set it down so that they could do something with it. It was stupid in the end result, but I can see why he was trying to do it.
He misjudged.
And, because he didn't get a second yellow for it, so good.
He didn't grow up playing
Fortunately,
baseball.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Penso for not punishing him for just being a little moment of stupidity that didn't hurt anything. Although technically by the rules, I would have, from the other side, I would have been, hey, he should have. But it didn't matter to either team in the regard.
Speaking of cards, Manu is gonna rack up quite a few cards this year, I think. A little chippy, physical.
I like it.
He's a little chippy. And the other guy's a little shoppy.
All right.
And Jake got one for yelling. Just
He did. He said something about the ref's mama. One of the magic words you're not allowed to
Jake
say.
wouldn't do that.
I don't know he said that.
Guys scream at refs and say some stuff all the time, but if the referee hears you say something and turns around and gives you a card, you said some combination of magic words that you're not supposed to say.
Or just enough of them.
Right.
But did you notice the only captain rule in place? Only the captain rule?
Yeah. Can speak to the ref, you're saying.
So it seems to, of the games I've watched a little bit, that has been a good thing.
So we haven't talked about Ilya last night. How'd we feel seeing our old friend?
He also had a really bad tackle. Who was that on? He literally football tackled somebody. No,
It was on Bartlett. Was it on Bartlett?
Yeah, I think maybe
Like
that was
6-on-6 action.
He looked like he can still play in this league.
Oh yeah. Making some nice passes, getting them sprung forward. His hair wasn't cornrows, so there you go.
I like the green jerseys. The green and black looks good. It doesn't look good on the green field, but every other place you would see their logo and their branding and their gear, it looks good, except on the field.
So should they do a different color field, like like indoor soccer does?
Yeah, maybe they should.
No. But Cody, have you noticed the Apple logo now has incorporated the colors of each team on the sleeve? That's pretty cool.
Yep.
You cannot buy it like that, though.
Oh, you can't?
You cannot.
Oh, really?
It's only players only.
Oh.
Even on the Authentics?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's bullshit.
Because we had asked about it, and they were like, no, unfortunately you can't. Like, we also were, like, under the assumption that, like, it was the people that were, like, physically making the jerseys. They were like, we were also under the assumption that we would get those.
Wow. Okay.
So
I'm disappointed now.
you can only get it at the kit sale at the end.
Speaking of the kits, the jerseys, the new kit, we've got to see it in action, not just on a player wearing jeans or stuff like that. I think on the field it looks good.
It does. Yeah.
So I still don't love it as I'm going to wear it with jeans kind of look, but I think it looks good as a kit on the field.
Yeah, there's the white stripe that goes from the shirt to the shorts.
Right.
And that is on not just every MLS team. All around the world. You can almost, now that I've seen this, I can spot an Adidas jersey anywhere in the world instantly because of this. Not every team does do the same color. Austin had, that line was green on the shirt and then black on the shorts, or vice versa.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that little connecting spot is on every Adidas jersey on planet Earth right now.
It goes from the side and then goes down to around to cup the cheeks.
Yeah, it does. It actually does. Okay.
What else?
Are we wrapping up? Did we get all the meat off the bone on Joveljic so far? Any other thoughts on him? Carrie, did you give what have you liked what you've seen from him so far?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean,
okay. Even though he's frustrated at his terrible teammates not being Marco Royce?
We'll find out more Tuesday night, won't we?
We'll find out more over the next month.
Yep.
Because one of the things I was watching last night was because one of the big things with any team is knowing when to trigger to do your press, right? So one guy would start the press, and like Manu looked over at somebody else, and then he took off, and then Shoppy took off, and then somebody else took off. It wasn't everybody took off at one moment, which is part of them not knowing each other, not knowing all the triggers and who kicks off the triggers and things like that. These are, like little inside things that teams do so they can play well, and they're not in that sync yet. So maybe they will be better at those. They better be better at those.
Well, Thad has triggered the end of segment 2.
Thank you.
So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. All right, Thad, we have the official word on the roster construction, the DP model. They're going 4 U22s.
For now.
Is this the right decision?
I think so. Because if you don't have a third DP signed right now, take the U22 model, bag the extra GAM, because you can get $2 million in GAM if you go with the 4 U22 model. Even if you never use the 4th U22, as long as you don't use a third DP. And in the middle of the season, if they find a third DP. They can change the setting, the model, and only get 1 million GAM, for example, but prorated for whenever they do that. So it's the right thing to do unless you have somebody there. So I think Mr. Burns, for the most part, has done everything right so far that he can possibly do. He's made use of the money they have, not overspent from what I can tell, and still has money in the bank to make additional moves when they find the right people.
So in addition to that, we've got now 2 international spots open after the Vargas release. Do you see us taking advantage of any of those mechanisms anytime soon? Thad, have you heard anything, or are we all expecting this to not happen until summer?
The last I heard, they did kind of imply that another player might still be signed, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think at one point they were either going to sign Jan Jursic
right,
or find a outside back on waivers, which is what they did.
Yeah.
So I think from what little I saw of Jan, however you say his name, he looked pretty decent in a little bit of preseason we saw. Again, can't read too much into that. But the guy we got, Andrew Brody, is a very known quantity, decent outside back. Probably doesn't have too high of a upside because he's been around forever.
So you're not expecting another U22 DP signing?
I would say it's very possible if they find the right guy. So
at least not this window, as I wouldn't expect it.
They needed a right back one way or the other, and they had to leave the room to do that. Now they have done that. Now the next move can happen if there is. They're still looking, and I want to say I've kind of heard they're still talking to people, but I mean that doesn't mean anything's very imminent.
So they still have some room to wiggle. We have the 4 U22 model.
They do have still 2 senior roster spots open.
When should we expect Andrew Brody to show up in a lineup?
In the next week. He was there on the last day of practice, whatever day that was, Friday. Yeah, so he was there
home
Friday.
opener, maybe.
I wouldn't totally be surprised if he was in the line or on the bench for the next, for the Miami game.
Yeah.
But have they added him? Do they need to add him to that because it's the CONCACAF roster?
Right.
I'm not sure about the rules on that. So I don't think they need to do it because they can still play Jake there because they have Manu to at least go into the midfield now. There's lots of manipulating with that.
I mean, I was a little surprised not to see him at least on the bench.
Yeah.
But again, he's been here for 2 days.
Maybe the paperwork wasn't through the fax machine yet.
He had to Uber it since he's an Uber driver.
Is he?
Yeah, he was. A little fun fact about him is that during COVID, he wasn't quite sure if he was going to continue soccer, and so he picked up Uber driving.
Well said. Who is this?
There's a lot of words there.
Who is this?
Andrew Brody.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So
I heard a lot of RSL fans like, oh, hey, we really loved him, really sorry to see him go. Hate that he's going to Kansas City, which I totally understand. And nothing but respect. But they also like, oh, we got other guys who are going to take his place, so they're
right.
He wasn't going to see the field.
Yeah, I went on Reddit just to see what the vibes were.
Yeah. And
it was because so many people are leaving right now, he's probably not going to be able to connect as well with the newer people, because there was one that was mentioned how he was able to focus mainly on defensive as his, I think it was his center back partner was able to kind of push up a little bit more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So the people he's around could take care of the offensive part. He just needed to take care of the defensive part, which
is what we need.
Yeah, defense first, right?
If they can't score, then we can't lose.
Maybe he could be like our Sinovic.
Oh, Lord. Let's not go backwards.
Robert, we talked about the Bruce Arena-led San Jose beating RSL badly.
And that's who we play this weekend, Cody.
Does that mean you watched MLS 360 last night?
No, I just saw the score. That is the one game I did not look at because who wants to watch San Jose, first of all? Who wants to watch RSL?
So
I just saw the score.
You did keep an eye on the rest of MLS last night?
Oh, yes, sir.
I saw St. Louis got off to a start with a draw. What was the game? Oh, it was Columbus and
Chicago?
Columbus and Chicago. That game was
4-2?
really good. I think both of those teams are actually pretty good.
There were a lot of high-scoring games last night. That's what I was pointing out while I was Here we are, St. Louis, Colorado 0-0, Austin, Kansas City 1-0. Everything else is 4-2, 2-2.
That guy for Chicago, Gutierrez with the baby
Ryan?
face.
Yeah.
Man, looking up how old he is right now.
So wait,
Yeah,
you
I
think
mean-
Berhalter can coach?
Atlanta's new signing. How do you say that again, Carrie?
Oh, I forgot. It's been too long.
Latte laugh or something like that?
Lots?
Laugh? Latte laugh.
Something like
there
that.
we go. Latte
Again,
laugh.
went to Reddit to find that.
Okay. He had two. He could have had a hat trick. So he debuted well. And then, of course, he's there with Almiron now. Him and Almiron were connecting well for Atlanta. So Atlanta's going to be scary, guys.
Brian Gutierrez is 21 still.
Still. You say that like he's been 21 for years.
Well, I've just heard his name for a few years, and I guess I was expecting to see him be older than that. I'm trying to think of any other notable things around Major League Soccer last night. Drawing a blank. But the onside series. I did want to talk about that before we get out of here.
You haven't seen any, right, yet?
I have not watched it yet either. Thad, you said something earlier about that Burns has done everything right so far, and I feel like I agree with that, but I'm also a little afraid I'm going to watch this and see that he was at fault for letting Johnny Russell leave.
No, Carrie, though, has a little moment. It was interesting.
Well, hold on. No spoilers. Are you going to spoil something for me?
Oh, okay.
Not that you already know. I mean, I think as we saw last season, Johnny is getting older. And, Peter does talk to the camera, and he's like, I'm never going to tell a player to retire. But.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I was listening to...
So I'm not going to like Peter Vermees in this when I watch it.
Do you like him right now?
Wow, that's a...
Carrie, with the tough
I
question.
haven't been asked such a direct question in a long time on my opinion about him.
Man, I wish we had the cameras going for that one, because the look on your face is like you just got gobsmacked.
Let's
or
make it
bored.
clear, as a coach we're referring to, not as an individual person.
That just makes it more complicated.
Okay.
I'm going to say
All right.
yes.
Okay, then you may not like him after.
Okay.
I heard two sporting staff members discussing it that morning because it came out the night before, and that one person was like, this may come across poorly. And the other person was like, no, he's just being honest. Like, someday. Like, you know. So it's very much in how you perceive. I'm guessing. I haven't watched it yet either. It may just be how you perceive Vermees to begin with. If you perceive him as to be the evil person that a lot of Reddit people think he is, then you're probably going to look at that like, what an asshole. He told Johnny to leave. But I think he would have been more than happy to have Johnny stick around if it was for the right price.
I mean, it could also just be like how because he was doing it face to face, like with the camera crew.
Right.
So they could have asked him, just been like overall players. And he's like, I'm never going to tell a player to retire. And then they just cut to Johnny afterwards. So who knows what he was really talking about?
Yeah, they may have set that up, especially with knowing what happened later.
All episodes have been released so I can binge it.
Right. But the only episode, all those sporting highlights you saw in the trailer, right, are all from this one episode. It's focusing on St. Louis and Sporting's rivalry. So it's all from that. So it's a really cool inside look at things.
Is that kind of the format of the show? Is each episode one?
They do the New York rivalry. They do the Hell is Real rivalry. That's 3 of the 8. 8 episodes. Other ones are focused on like Kevin Sullivan, the 14-year-old in Philadelphia. Galaxy's, run or how they started the season off. And then one's about the transfer window, which is interesting, the negotiations for Marco Royce, because there were many MLS teams that were after him.
Okay, a lot of that sounds interesting. Is Gavin Sullivan an interesting character? Like
Kevin?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. That sounds very boring to me. I feel like I don't care about that episode unless he's interesting.
I feel terrible saying this. Not the smartest kid in the world, but you gotta realize he's only 14. You gotta realize he's only 14.
We're talking shit on a 14-year-old. Hey, he's a professional, right?
But yeah, that makes the dynamic with him, his brother, and his family. And did anybody else watch this? Nobody watched this, but his dad's a bit of an ass. But anyway, he's one of those guys that's driving his kids, and his kids have been successful, so you got to give him that. But,
Where are they from?
Where are they from? Philadelphia.
So that explains both of those descriptions.
I might have heard the same about Bartlett's father.
Really? Okay.
Did you know there are a bunch of Bartlett brothers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lucas played for City.
Or I guess maybe just 3, and they were all They all played in college.
Mm-hmm.
2 at Drake.
And 1 at Notre Dame. Which one?
This came from a Notre Dame, a Drake, a former Drake player.
Yeah, but which one played at Notre Dame?
Oh,
Jacob.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He has a connection with
I tried to help you, Cody.
Beasler. You know, they knew each other, family, friends, Notre Dame. There's all those connections.
Okay.
There was an article about it a couple weeks ago, right before the season started. Jacob Bartlett.
That's cool.
Should read it.
Learn something new every day.
Going back to the onside series, there is one odd thing, though. If someone's talking in a language beyond English, unless you turn captions on, they're not captioned, which I thought was interesting. So if someone's speaking in Spanish, it doesn't have the subtitles for it. You have to turn subtitles on for that to be there, which I thought was odd.
And then technically, if you turn captions on, it should have just shown it in Spanish, right?
Right.
Because that's just supposed to be what you're hearing.
It was odd.
That is weird.
Probably a setting in there. I don't know.
Okay, so we like Onside.
Yeah. I'm going to watch it over the next few days.
Is it made by Box to Box? Is it the same company that has made all of these? Or not? Is that what it's called? Something like that. Box to Box production, something.
Ones
The
that
guy's
did
a soccer fan.
The Formula One thing, right?
Drive to Survive and what's the golf one? Full Swing is the golf one.
Yeah, the guy who is the
There's
head
a
guy for
documentary
that.
about golf. Like, what could be more boring?
I know. They did it with some other ones too. Oh, Unchained is the cycling one. That one's great, by the way. I like cycling in the Tour de France. That one's a good one to watch. Unchained.
Check it out.
And my favorite part is the way they name all of these. Drive to Survive, Full Swing. Onside is like the most tame one. It's actually kind of boring. It should have been Offside.
So, anyway, I think we need to work on a guest like Kevin. Get him in. What do you think?
Okay.
Who
No.
do you want to get on?
The kid, the 14-year-old kid you called stupid.
Oh, jeez. I didn't say
We could probably tweet at the dad.
he wasn't
the
the
dad will
smartest.
probably reply if we find it.
Oh, somebody like probably end up sending this over there.
Okay. Any final thoughts?
Oh, they officially announced Roger.
Woohoo. He's sticking around. I'm happy to have him in the sphere of Sporting KC still.
Indeed.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a make Roger the coach movement yet, like there was a Benny Philhopper one.
Just signed a deal for a podcast, right? Not a coach. Didn't find a coaching job, but he's...
An LAFC podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's tired of Sporting.
Well, he's from there and played there for a couple of years, right? So
Yep.
Well, and in that city is a market where he is getting paid to be on that podcast. Now, it's probably still just a side thing, and I'm sure he's like looking for a coaching job because it seemed like that is what he wanted to do.
He's going the
Right.
Jesse Marsh
So
route.
I think this is just, oh, hey, they're going to pay me to record a show once a week on this, and I'm down for that while I look for another job.
yeah, so he should do the Jesse Marsh thing and just like go on to broadcast, trash the coach, try to get him fired, and then get their spot.
Or go to a rival. So Benny
Yeah.
Philhopper is actually going to be at St. Louis next.
Oh, that would be funny.
Oh, no, it
Oh,
would
God.
not.
No, you know what'd be best?
You know,
RSL.
Carrie's just
Oh,
saying
yeah.
all these things that make me feel bad.
I know. I used to
Polito
like
scoring
Carey.
goals.
Why does it make you feel bad that Polito's scoring goals? I wish him the best.
Of course we do.
You're right.
He was a decent servant to the team just because he got injured and wasn't at his best for a good chunk of the contract. I don't think he was trying not to be good. Now, he may have gotten
Well, then why is he
bounced.
scoring goals all of a sudden?
He scored him when he got here too. So who knows?
Thad called it a retirement league.
Yeah.
Who has he scored on so far?
I don't know. I just get the text.
Tijuana.
Yeah. It's only 2 goals in 3 games. He's got a lot of time to get hurt still.
He does. It was Pachuca.
Okay. That ending things on good vibes about Sporting KC. You were feeling pretty good. Only 2 goals conceded. No goals scored yet. But you've liked what you've seen.
Have I liked what I've seen? No. Have I seen where there's opportunity for this team to be much better? Yes. Because I don't think that what we've seen in these 2 games is anything close to what this team is going to be in another couple weeks or in a month and a half or whatever. So there's a lot of change coming to this team still.
Hey, Cody, if we score first Tuesday night, there's a lot of hope there.
Scoring goals is how you win games.
And not allowing goals is how you don't lose games.
Analysis, Sport Eye!
The other side don't seem so tough. And 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team.